Today, I'm going to bring you guys my 2.0 mock draft for the NFL draft that is going to be this Thursday, starting, I think it is 8 o'clock. I gave you guys my mock draft a few weeks ago, and it had great success. So then, again, thank you very much for the success that video had. What I'm going to do for you guys today is very similar to what I did then. I'm going to give you guys my top 10 picks for the NFL draft coming up. And then I'm going to give you two alternate picks. Last time I did one, but you'll see why I had to change that up for today's video. So first things first, I have the first two picks of the NFL draft remaining exactly the same. That being number one overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be taking Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. There's been a lot of talk that the Jacksonville Jaguars might take Trayvon Walker. Of course, there's Kayvon Thibodeaux further down on the draft board. However, Aiden Hutchinson, I think, still stands out among the rest of the players in the draft. You have Trayvon Walker, who's really climbed up boards all the way up to number 2 overall pick. And you can really argue whether he's deserved that. However, you understand what the athleticism he has, how he performed last year. Stats-wise, didn't look the best. However, in the SEC, with a few other first-round picks on that defense, it's easy to not necessarily have the best numbers. But Aiden Hutchinson did have some of the best numbers and was on one of the best teams in the country, got to the top 4, got into the Heisman finalist. So I have Aiden Hutchinson going number 1 overall. I don't really believe in the talk that it's going to be Trayvon Walker, but I do believe that Trayvon Walker is going to be the number 2 overall pick with the Detroit Lions. So nothing changes there between those two first picks in the draft. My first change is going to come with the Houston Texans. I had them taking Evan Neal my last mock draft. However, this time around, I have them going defense with Kayvon Thibodeaux. I really love Kayvon Thibodeaux. His athleticism, his size, his weight, everything, all his intangibles. And then you look at his video of him coming out of college, everything there lines up with what you want from a modern defensive edge. And this would be the first time in NFL history that the first 3 picks are all defensive edges. Last year, it was the first time 3 quarterbacks were the first 3 picks taken in a row. But this time, I have Houston going Kayvon Thibodeaux, steering up the edge, helping that defense on a rebuilding team. Then I have the New York Jets at number 4, previously taking Kayvon Thibodeaux. However, with that pick gone now, I think they're going to take the next best defensive player on the board, that being Sauce Gardner, the corner out of Cincinnati. Sauce Gardner is the best defensive back in this draft. You could look at Kyle Hamilton. You could look at Derek Stingley Jr. However, the fact that he didn't allow a single touchdown, you could really recreate the Revis Island you once have the New York Jets. New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh, defensive-minded head coach. It makes a lot of sense for them to attack the defense after attacking the offense a lot in free agency. So I have them going out and getting the next best defensive player in the draft with Sauce Gardner. Now with the New York Giants, the number 5 pick, I have them going offensive lineman again. However, this time they are able to secure the best offensive lineman in the draft, somebody who could be the number 1 overall pick if the Jaguars had operated their offseason just a little differently. I have the New York Giants going Evan Neal out of Alabama. Alabama continues to produce top talent when it comes to the offensive line, and Evan Neal is really pretty much the same thing you've gotten out of Alabama with a lot of their offensive linemen in past years. And there's a debate between him, Ikem Ekwonu. There's a few others like Charles Cross in the draft. However, to me, I have Evan Neal as my best offensive lineman going to the New York Giants at number 5. I have my second best offensive lineman going to the Carolina Panthers, that being Ikem Ekwonu. I've decided to change up the Carolina Panthers pick here. I had them going with Malik Willis previously. However, with the reports that have came out recently, I don't think they'll be going to draft a quarterback with their number 1 pick. In fact, I think they might be looking to trade for a quarterback, and I think that somebody is going to be Baker Mayfield. Now, personally, I wouldn't do that. I would definitely look to draft Malik Willis here. But if you just believe the reports that have started to come out, especially as we get closer and closer to the draft, it doesn't look like they want to use that high of a pick on a quarterback like Malik Willis, who is a little bit of a question mark. There are some scouts that have said that all 5 of the quarterbacks that went, the first 5 quarterbacks that went in the draft last year are better than every single quarterback this year. I don't necessarily believe that. I think Malik Willis is better than Mac Jones and Davis Mills. So I would have taken Malik Willis here. But it doesn't look like the Panthers want to do that. And I have them going offensive line to protect Baker Mayfield, who is going to need some protection, which he had in Cleveland, and still was not able to hold up and be the quarterback that the Browns wanted him to be. For their second pick in the first round, second pick in the top 10, I have the New York Giants this time going with Derek Stingley Jr. instead of Sauce Gardner, who I had going to them in my previous mock draft. However, he went higher up in the board. So the New York Giants get a great corner who has really risen in the draft recently. There's tape of him guarding Jamar Chase when they were on LSU together. Derek Stingley is very athletic. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the hands from a corner that you would want. So I have the Giants going both sides of the ball here in the top 10, going offensive lineman and then going corner, Derek Stingley Jr. Then we have the Atlanta Falcons at number 7. And the last time I made this mock, I said the Atlanta Falcons are in a position where they just need to take the best player available and really look to rebuild the team. And now I'm questioning who that best player is. And right now, I have the Atlanta Falcons actually going wide receiver, taking the first wide receiver off the board, that being Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Last time I made this mock draft, I said that I don't see him taking wide receiver, ironically, because I think you want to build more. You want to build the defense up. You want to build the offensive lineup. However, they do not have any receiving options. You have Calvin Ridley, who's probably going to be suspended for at least the year that he was originally given. Maybe he's going to be conduced a little bit. But then you have Kyle Pitts, who had a good rookie year. However, outside of that, you have Cordell Patterson, who we don't know whether he's a running back, whether he's a wide receiver. So I think they just go out and get a weapon for Marcus Mariota, go out and get a weapon for whoever the quarterback is beyond there. And I have him going with Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. Then with the number 8 pick, the player I had originally going to the Atlanta Falcons, I have the Seattle Seahawks taking Jermaine Johnson, the edge out of Florida State. Jermaine Johnson, as I stated last video, has better stats than all the defensive edges before him at this point in the draft. And he's very athletic, playing in a not as strong as the ACC as some of these other players are, playing in the Big Ten, playing in the SEC. However, Jermaine Johnson is a great piece. And especially when you're looking to rebuild, you want to focus on defense, which is why I had him going last time. So in the Falcons, I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to take this opportunity and take him with the 9th overall pick. And lastly, in the top 10, I have the New York Jets still taking a wide receiver, albeit this time is going to be Drake London, the USC wide receiver. The New York Jets already have Elijah Moore, who is very much a speed guy, a slot guy. Him and Jalen Waddle are very comparable, but now they need somebody with some size. And Drake London has received a lot of doubt recently. I believe that's more because of the fact of his injuries. However, his ability to play, he breaks tackles, he's big, he can get jump balls. He reminds us a lot of Mike Evans. And I think the New York Jets be getting a great receiver. I think they would prefer to get Garrett Wilson. And I think there's a strong possibility they take Jameson Williams. And that's who I was deciding between either Drake London and Jameson Williams. But right here, right now, I have the New York Jets going with Drake London. So that makes my top 10 in this order. The Jacksonville Jaguars with Aiden Hutchinson, Detroit Lions with Trayvon Walker, Houston Texans with Kayvon Thibodeau, the New York Jets with Sauce Gardner, the New York Giants with Evan Neal, the Carolina Panthers with Akem Ekwonu, the New York Giants with Derek Stingley Jr., the Atlanta Falcons with wide receiver Garrett Wilson, the Seattle Seahawks with Jermaine Johnson, the New York Jets with Drake London to wrap out the top 10. But there are quarterbacks in the draft, and we all know that is really what the most interesting part of the draft is. Where do the quarterbacks eventually fall? First of which being Malik Willis, who I originally had going 6th overall to Carolina Panthers. This time, I have him going number 16 overall to the New Orleans Saints. Previously, I had the Saints taking Kenny Pickett. I think the Saints are still in a position where they look to attack the quarterback position. They re-signed Jameis Winston in the offseason, and they'll have him for at least another year. However, I think they look to restart, get a quarterback that can really do it all, has a cannon and arm, is very athletic, great quarterback with Malik Willis. And then I have Kenny Pickett going 20th overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, signed Mitch Trubisky in the offseason and tragically lost Dwayne Haskins a few weeks ago in a car accident. So they are looking for competition in that quarterback room, which we certainly would have seen if Dwayne Haskins had the ability to compete for the job. Bringing in Kenny Pickett, I think is a great idea. You have 2 quarterbacks that are very comparable, same size, same build, both have pretty good arms. One already has had his opportunity in the pros. Mitch Trubisky with the Chicago Bears did pretty well, got to the playoffs a few times, however, then backed up over in Buffalo. I think he is ultimately going to win the starting job for this season, but I think Kenny Pickett is going to be the guy for the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers.